Most Christians would define a music minister as the person who leads Sunday morning worship at their church. But there's a lot more to it than that. What about the musicians you hear every day on the local Christian radio station? Does being in the industry limelight make them music ministers? Are the not-so-famous bands that play at church youth groups and fairs also music ministers? Is a musician a music minister simply by being a Christian and playing an instrument? To help us answer those questions, let's look at some definitions of music ministry. The definition of a musician is pretty straightforward. Someone who plays an instrument or is musically talented. Merriam-Webster defines a musician as a composer, conductor, or performer of music. To minister to means to attend to the needs of someone, according to the Oxford Dictionary. The origin of the word minister is interesting. It comes from a Latin word that means less. That word eventually morphed into servant. It carried with it the sense of one person acting under the authority of another. Today, it's often used to describe a diplomatic agent representing a country in a foreign country. Obviously, the words minister and ministry don't have the same meaning as being a rock star. That's why at Christian Band Help, we say, use your music to bring people closer to Jesus. When we define music ministry as using music to bring people closer to Jesus, and a music minister as a person who does that, everything changes. Where we play, how many people see us play, how much money we make with our music, if people hear us on the radio, none of that enters into the definition of being a music minister. Is it possible to be a Christian musician without being a music minister? Absolutely. Can a musician play in a famous Christian band and not do ministry? Yes. Does that mean that God won't use what they do? No. God can use anything or anyone He wants. Remember that He even used a donkey to warn a prophet. Our goal is to line ourselves up with His plan so that we can have the greatest possible impact on the world around us. Let's get very clear on our definition of music ministry. It doesn't have anything to do with the world's version of rock star fame or money. Music ministry is serving others, using music as a tool to open hearts and spirits so they can more easily connect with Jesus. How do you know if you're called to music ministry? God doesn't usually throw people into ministry without preparing them first. So we can look at the things He's already put in you to get a partial picture of what He has for you to do in the future. These things include your personality, past experiences and training, as well as the desire of your heart. Sometimes people get a little too spiritual over the word call. We tend to think something miraculous has to happen, like the blinding light Paul saw. Although God certainly can do extraordinary works, that's not how it happens for most people. Hence the word extraordinary. A call is simply a divine appointment to ministry or service. You can be appointed without hearing the audible voice of God or seeing a miraculous event. Most often, being called is just knowing in your heart and spirit that God wants you to do a specific ministry. Ideally, we want to have other mature Christians confirm our call, which simply means they agree we are called to do that ministry. This confirmation is not a requirement for ministry. It's there for our protection, to keep us from making big mistakes. So if you feel you're called to music ministry, the very first step to take is to ask people who know you well and who you look up to spiritually to pray with you about it. Seek out their wisdom and pay attention to what they say. Then you'll want to learn everything there is to know about music ministry. That's where we can help. Christian Band Help has some of the best information and resources available to Christian music ministers, no matter where you are on your ministry journey.